The Zephyrian research vessel. Quantum dawn hung silently in Earth's upper atmosphere, its adaptive camouflage rendering it invisible to the primitive scanning technology below. Commander Vexatar stood before the central display, his 4 arms crossed in what his species considered a gesture of confident authority. After decades of studying the third planet from this unremarkable yellow star, the Zephyrians had finally decided to collect a specimen. "Target acquired," announced Science Officer Kreltha, her voice carrying the melodic undertones that indicated professional satisfaction. "Human designation, Marcus Chen. Male, 28 rotations old, employed in what their species calls emergency medical services. Physical parameters are within acceptable ranges for study." Vextar's secondary eyes narrowed as he examined the readout. Humans were fascinating creatures, supposedly intelligent despite their laughably short lifespans and fragile biology. The Galactic Council had been debating their potential for uplift for nearly a standard cycle now. This research would finally provide definitive answers. "Initiate Extraction Protocol 7, he commanded. The tractor beam engaged with surgical precision, lifting the unsuspecting human from what appeared to be a mobile medical facility. Marcus had been loading equipment when the familiar blue glow surrounded him, followed by the disorienting sensation of weightlessness. Within moments, he materialized in the ship's specimen containment chamber. Marcus looked around the stark, metallic room with its pulsing bioluminescent panels and immediately assessed his situation with the calm efficiency that had kept him alive through 12 years of emergency medicine in Detroit. He'd seen people in shock, people in crisis, and people who'd lost all hope. Right now, he was none of those things. "Well," he said aloud, noting the obvious observation windows, "this is new." Vexatar watched with clinical interest as the human showed no signs of the terror response they'd observed in specimens from other worlds. Most species either collapsed in catatonic fear or threw themselves against the containment barriers until exhaustion claimed them. This human simply adapted. "Fascinating," Kreltha murmured. "Observe how quickly it accepts its new environment. Perhaps their neural architecture is more flexible than our models suggested." They were about to discover just how flexible. Marcus had spent his career thinking on his feet. Car accidents, overdoses, heart attacks, shootings. He'd learned to read situations quickly and respond appropriately. These aliens clearly wanted to study him, which meant they needed him alive and relatively unharmed. That gave him leverage. "Hey!" he called out, looking directly at the observation window. "I know you're watching. I'm assuming you can understand me since you picked me up instead of, say, a dolphin or a philosopher. We need to talk." In the observation deck, Vextar's confidence wavered slightly. "It's communicating with us directly. How did it know we were here?" Marcus continued, his voice carrying the authoritative tone he used when taking charge of chaotic emergency scenes. "Look, I get it. You're scientists. I'm an interesting specimen. This is probably a big deal for your research. But here's the thing. I was in the middle of something important when you grabbed me. My partner Jenny is currently alone with a cardiac arrest patient, and she's going to need backup." The alien commander felt something he'd never experienced before when dealing with specimens: confusion mixed with what humans might have recognized as guilt. "Furthermore," Marcus pressed on, beginning to pace the small chamber, "I'm hypoglycemic. That means my blood sugar drops if I don't eat regularly. I haven't eaten in 6 hours, and I'm starting to feel shaky. In about 20 minutes, I'm going to pass out. In an hour after that, I could go into a coma. If you want to study a living human, you need to feed me. Krelthaw's appendages twitched nervously. Commander, its biochemistry appears more complex than anticipated. Should we— And another thing, Marcus interrupted, somehow sensing their uncertainty despite not being able to see them clearly. I'm lactose intolerant, allergic to shellfish, and I take medication for high blood pressure. My body chemistry is probably all kinds of screwed up right now because I missed my evening dose. You might want to factor that into whatever baseline readings you're taking. Vextar stared at the readouts streaming across his displays. The human was right. Its biochemical markers were indeed fluctuating in ways their models hadn't predicted. More concerning, it seemed to understand the scientific process well enough to manipulate it. Oh, and one more thing, Marcus added, his tone shifting to something that made both aliens unconsciously step back from their instruments. I need to warn you about human medical professionals. Warn us? Vextar found himself asking through the communication system before he could stop himself. Marcus smiled, and something about that expression sent an evolutionary shiver through both aliens. We don't give up, ever. When someone's life is on the line, we'll tear through whatever's in our way to help them. Right now, there's a 67-year-old grandfather having a heart attack, and I'm the best chance he has of seeing his granddaughter's wedding next month. The human's voice grew harder, carrying undertones that spoke to something primal about persistence and determination. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to put me back exactly where you found me right now, or I'm going to spend however long you keep me here figuring out how to break out of this room, disable your ship, and get home anyway. And trust me, humans are very, very good at breaking things we don't understand. As if to emphasize his point, Marcus began examining the containment chamber's walls with the methodical thoroughness of someone who'd spent years learning how to improvise medical equipment from whatever was available. Commander, Kreltha whispered, her voice high with stress. Perhaps we should consider— Belay that, Vextar said quickly. He'd seen enough. The human wasn't just intelligent. It was driven by something the Zephyrians had never encountered, a species that produced individuals willing to fight reality itself for the sake of others was not something to be trifled with. Initiating return protocol, he announced. Minutes later, Marcus materialized back beside the ambulance, where Jenny was still performing compressions on their patient. He immediately jumped back into action, as if being abducted by aliens. Was just another Tuesday in Detroit. Where the hell were you? Jenny demanded as they worked. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, Marcus replied, starting an IV with practiced efficiency. Above them, the Quantum Dawn engaged its faster-than-light drives and departed Earth's system with unprecedented haste. In his final report to the Galactic Council, Commander Vextar would recommend that humanity be granted immediate protected status and left strictly alone. His official reasoning cited their unpredictable biochemistry and rapid adaptability. His unofficial reasoning was much simpler. Any species that could make a Zephyrian research commander feel guilty in under 10 minutes was clearly too dangerous to antagonize. The grandfather survived and danced at his granddaughter's wedding 3 months later. Marcus never mentioned the aliens, but he did start carrying protein bars in his medical kit just in case.